Okay, so we've got General Alexander versus General Leang, but I can't build any units. So that means I'm not building anything from the Command Center, Supply Center, Barracks, War Factory, or Airfield. Rangers that spawn from destroyed US buildings, as well as Ranger drops from General Promotion are allowed, and Chinooks that spawn from newly constructed Supply Centers are also allowed. Now, the dozer building our power plant right now, that is the one and only dozer that we're going to be using here today, and I didn't build that. We start off with a dozer each time we go up against a new general. So that is A-okay. Now, right now, we've got our supply center pretty much done. Now, reason why we build it right next to the power plant and not near the resources is just so I can cut down on that travel time. I can get the dozer to the bridge and build up those base defenses just a little bit faster. Now, the Chinook is going to be collecting from a longer distance, but it's no big worry here, because since we're only using one dozer to build things, it means that the spendage is going to be very low, so I can afford to collect at that long distance.
Upgrade complete.
Any more projects? Bring on the scaffolding. Any more projects?
So I'm pretty happy with the 2 Patriots that I got set up at the bridge, and we're building a barracks, and I wanted to get the capture upgrade and the flashbang upgrade. So capture upgrade is so I can get those oil derricks as well as artillery platforms. Flashbangs, very helpful, because Ling does have some garrison buildings on this map, and if we can take out those buildings, they can give us a little bit of EXP to work with. Now, Ling's coming in with some Rangers and Paladins. Now, cool thing about the EMPs, it will shut down her vehicles, and one Paladin is now stuck behind the other one, so then I can put my focus back on the Rangers that are doing damage to my EMP Patriots, and then I can go back to the Paladins a little bit later on. Now, as for the dozer, we're setting up some defense near the resources and right next to our command center. It's because at the 8-minute mark, Ling does do a sneak attack on you. That is the only sneak attack that she will do during the whole battle. Now, her sneak attack is going to have some tank hunters and Gatling tanks. So that's all that really pops out. But if you were to have built your tech building before that 8-minute mark, then the units that pop out will have like Paladins, Dragon Tanks, Overlords. So you don't want to build your tech building too soon. Now, I've destroyed my own barracks with my EMP Patriots, so then I've got 2 Rangers to work with. Now, again, that's not a rule break, because we're not building those Rangers. So we're getting 1 to capture the oil derrick, which is going to improve the amount of cash that we gather. And we're going to get our Chinook to stop gathering resources, and then I'm going to drop them off to the north. Now, similar thing to the towns version of this challenge. We're just trying to take over this northern part, because if I tried to take over the right side, it would take too long because of the 2 Paladins and 2 Dragon Tanks that patrol the area. I'd have to like get Rangers to move to the other end of the bridge and then lure them over to the EMP Patriots, and I found that it just takes too long to make that work. So I'm happy with setting up, at the north and capturing the other oil derrick too, so that's really going to help financially here. Now, I did notice that the tanks that were patrolling weren't going to take any shots on my Rangers, so I thought this was a good time to flashbang the buildings while I could. And I did lose my Ranger, but I got both of the garrison buildings this time. This was a little bit of a worry, because I didn't get this sort of problem as General Town, so now I've just got to babysit the EMP Patriots, and because I can't do too much with the dozer, I thought, okay, well, let's just build an extra EMP just over here. Any defense is good defense, and the power situation with Alexander is better than Towns. Her power plants will give you 20 when upgraded, compared to Towns, which does 16 when upgraded. Beautiful. So there's the dragon tanks out of the game, and now I can just focus on bolstering my defenses up here.
Need a point, man? Fully engaged.
Congratulations, General. You have been promoted.
So we just got rank 2. Now I want to get rank 3 as fast as possible here because I don't want to get hit by the super weapons. Now as towns, I did get hit by the super weapons in the first cycle, and it meant that I would have to recover. I'd have to recover from all of those attacks. Now fortunately for me, I did bait out most of it by setting up some scaffolds in the bottom left corner. But if I can avoid the super weapons altogether, that would be great, because it means that I could keep the command center in play for one, and then I could basically put more time into building up my defenses, reactors, and then particle cannons later on. Now we do have the sneak attack. It happened a little bit early. For me, it's usually 8-minute mark, so it's like this time it happened right before the 8-minute mark.
Always prepared.
And that's why we got the EMP and the fire base to help defend.
Let's build. Make my own road.
So we've sorted out the sneak attack. We did lose one of our EMP Patriots, but bright side is we did gain 3 more Rangers, and we can use those for many different things. We could use them for getting the cash piles in the bottom right corner. We could use them for oil derricks. We could use them for luring those tanks that are on the right to my side. That way we get more EXP. So there's a lot of things that we could do with them, but not just right now. We're going to use one of our other Rangers to take out the garrison building and then capture the artillery platform. Now the artillery platform is within range of that demo bike there, so I can get even more EXP that way. Now with our dozer, we're just setting up more and more EMP Patriots. Like I said before, the laser turrets are a stronger base defense, so I need to set up more EMP Patriots than I did laser turrets to compensate for that lack of damage. Now, cool thing about Alexander is that EMP factor, so I can shut down those vehicles, and if we got enough EMP Patriots, we can just maybe use one of them to take out one vehicle, and then the other ones could take out the other. That way you're not getting damaged by any of the tanks that are coming in.
Yeah, that one's done. I'll build anywhere. Getting to work.
So for now, I'm pretty happy with the 3 Patriots at the front. I want to set up some Patriots on the other bridge, that way I'm covered. Now, I just gotta wait on the enemy tanks to come by. I've got my Ranger set up, that's going to be my bait. So I need to lure those tanks to where my EMP Patriots are, and then that's going to get me a little bit more EXP to work with. Now, I didn't get to lure out the dragon tanks. They were a little bit too far away, but that's fine. We're getting pretty close to that rank up too, so if we could get the rank up, we could do Ranger drops or A10s. I went for the triple A10 strike. I probably could have gone with a double A10 and then maybe use the 3rd point in a Ranger drop. That might have worked as well, because we're going to use the A10s to take out the super weapon timers. That way we don't get hit by the first cycle of super weapons. While we wait on our dozer to build up our defense, let me tell you about General Leang. So far we've beaten her as Alexander and General Towns. Now that leaves a lot of other generals to beat her as. We still have General Granger, so General Granger is going to be the last USA general we do this as. Now, I haven't actually done the recording yet as General Granger, and I have absolutely no clue if I'm going to be able to replicate the same strategy as Granger. I'll be able to get that northern side, but I have no clue as to how good I'm going to be with standard Patriot missile systems and standard power plants, because Granger's power plants are only going to do 10 when fully upgraded, so it's going to be quite difficult trying to put this all together as him, but plus side, I am going to get a carpet bomb, so, you know, you take the good with the bad here. Now, as for the other generals, GLA is definitely going to be tricky to pull it off, but I do think it's possible to do it as the GLA generals. The Chinese generals, I don't think so. I might be able to do a Ling versus Ling fight, that might be possible, but the other Chinese generals, no way. I tried doing it with dozers and supply trucks, haven't been able to pull it off, because it's a lack of firepower. I don't have the firepower to take out Ling's tanks, and as the Chinese generals, you won't get a hold of the northern part of the map unless you go round, because you have supply trucks, not Chinooks. So yeah, there's a lot of things to figure out for the other battles, but I'm sure I'll work something out. Now they should arrive with maybe like 20 or so seconds left on the clock, but it does mean that I can breathe a little bit easier knowing that those super weapons aren't going to hit me compared to when I did it as towns. Now the Patriot situation, I've got 4 on my other bridge, and we're going for a 5th Patriot for the main line of defense. And I also have a Ranger inside the garrison building too. So already I've got more defense as Alexander than I did with Towns. So much so that, like, I'm gonna go for a 6th Patriot in a minute. Now, the Patriots that are wedged in between those 2 buildings, they're going to be very good because the MiGs are going to hit the buildings, not the Patriot. So they can act as some level of cover just for a little bit, and then that can mean that my Patriots last a little bit longer. I just need these Patriots to last as long as possible, so then I can set up as much defense as I can at my main base, but also set up as many particle cannons as I can to then attack Ling later on. Now, the Patriot that we're building right now, I hadn't tried this in the other attempts or as towns either, but I thought, okay, well, if I build a Patriot behind this building here, maybe that can also act as some level of cover, because when the MiGs attack the Patriots, it's the building that's in front of the Patriots, that one there, that's taking the damage, not the other one that we just built the Patriot next to. Now, I was pretty satisfied with where we're at, and I thought, okay, I think we can move our dozer back to main base. Now, this time around, we didn't get hit by super weapons, so I don't have to worry about any residual radiation or toxins. But it does mean that I have to Tetris my buildings in a different way, because doing it as towns, we pretty much had a blank canvas when it comes to our base.
Ready for action. Take a new position. Take a new position.
So, yeah, rocket buggies were very nice to me. See, the rocket buggies can be like, they can do a lot of damage if they position themselves far away enough and they do long range attacks. This time around they seem to be going for my ranges, so that was very nice of them, so I could pick those off with the EMP Patriots. Another thing is, if you were to use one of your EMP Patriots or laser turrets, whatever, and then you attack one of your own units or base defenses, you could trigger your other base defenses nearby to do longer range fire. I tend to do that quite a bit as Laser General, and it does come in handy in case, well, if you're not building, like if you've got no units to play with and you're up against long range units, it's very good to do that little trick and pick them off. Right now I'm just doing the same thing. We're luring those dragon tanks, trying to get them as close to the EMPs, and then we can get some more EXP out of that. So now we're just going to use our satellite scan, just trying to pick where the spot where our airfield is, and then we're going to use an A-10 strike. I don't need to hang on to the A10 strike for defensive purposes or anything like that, because the super weapon timer's long way away, so I can actually get a couple of shots in with the A10s and do a bit of damage. Now we're picking the airfields for a couple of reasons. One, the MiGs that attack are going to ruin my plan if I keep them in play. But two, if she loses her airfields enough time, she will stop rebuilding the airfields. Now, the key to Leang is the tech tree, and her tech tree works a little bit differently. See, she needs an airfield and a war factory in order to build a super weapon. So if you can get her to that point where she stops rebuilding her airfield, then you destroy her super weapons, then she will no longer rebuild her super weapons. So that's the key to beating Leang in a situation like this.
Unit lost.
Any more projects?
Let's build.
Ooh, can't do that. Always prepared.
Upgrade complete.
What's the story? Any more projects? Sorry, I can't build there. Laying the
Unit
foundation.
lost.
Made in the U.S. of A. Any
You
more
are wise
projects?
to build a war factory, General.
Unit lost.
Here's that trick I was telling you about with the EMP. So you target your own one, and then the others can do longer range fire and destroy the rocket buggy.
Improvements?
So now we're at that point where I think we can build our strategy center. Now, if you build your strategy center before she does her general powers, then it does mean that she will ramp up her attacks faster. But if you were to build the strategy center after the general powers trigger, then it won't make any difference. It'll still be the same rate of attacks from Leang's side. So now we're just chilling out. We got 2 oil derricks. We got a Chinook that's safely collecting at long distance, and we're sitting on over $23,000 worth of stuff. Now, with the cash piles, they're still in play here, and I could collect those if I want to. But here's the thing: I realized this after the battles. I really don't need those cash piles because of the amount of money that we've been getting, plus the fact that the particle cannons are half price here. So, didn't have to, but I collected the cash piles anyway. Now, another thing is that if you wanted to collect those cash piles, the way that I did it, it's not the most efficient way of doing it. A better way you could do it is if you get a ranger or maybe get a dozer, put them in the Chinook, and then drop them off at each cash pile, and then send them back to main base. That would be a better way of going about it. It's just things that I could have done, in the moment that I hadn't even thought of.
Drawing near for you, General.
Rally point confirmed.
Unit
Upgrading
lost.
the new supply lines.
A wise man knows when to retreat. Obviously, you are not such a man.
Yeah, I was about to go with the ranger drop, but I changed my mind. I'd noticed that I was getting close to a rank up, and I could rank up into a level 2 ranger drop. That's why I held off.
Any more projects?
And just like that, we got our first particle cannon to work with. Now we're going to be building many more. The problem is consistency. I got to be able to build the particle cannons as fast as possible, and you can see here I built the particle cannon, but I haven't made any attempt to build another one. So consistency was probably my biggest mistake here as Alexander.
Complete, sir. Want to make some improvements? Let's find a better place. Army's elite.
Hey,
On the go.
we're trying. Yeah, we got a couple, and there he goes.
Lost.
Doesn't matter because that cash pile that's still there, it's only $1,000. There's 7 grand worth of cash piles there, so each pile's 1,000 each. Now with the rank up, went for that level 2 paradrop, and I also got fuel air bomb and the Spectre gunship. Now fuel air bomb, ideally you want to upgrade that to Moab, and we've got the cash for it, so I think we do it right. Yep, we're just done that, so we'll hold off on using the fuel air bomb until it's upgraded. Now the ranger drop, done something different compared to towns. Now with towns, the way I was using the ranger drop, I was using him, I was dropping him off like I was dropping him off at the super weapon timers, and also dropping him off at oil derrick locations, trying to capture them and get more money. And again, this is one of those things where my experience playing as towns has helped me in my battle playing as Alexander here. Really did have a much easier time doing this as Alexander. Now with the ranger drop this time, I'm using them in a more defensive way because I don't need to capture those other oil derricks, because the amount of money that we're getting from the 2 oil derricks plus the supplies is enough.
Upgrade complete.
There's our Moab, and we're just going to use it right away. Going for that super weapon timer. I probably used it a little bit too early, but I'm not gonna be one of those guys that leaves it to the very last second and then risk my base on that one. It's not it's not necessary doing it that way. Now Spectre gunship, I thought I'd try and go for the airfield and destroy it that way. That way it's one less time we got to destroy it, and didn't quite get there. See, had I destroyed the airfield, she would have rebuilt it, but I'd also be able to use a particle cannon on those 2 airfields plus the war factory. That's what I was going for at the time, because I knew that the particle cannon still had like 45 seconds or so before it was ready, so she would have had enough time to rebuild.
You cannot stand against my might.
And yeah, A10, I didn't go for the airfield, I went for one of her garrison buildings, and reason why I've done it that way is because we're going to use the particle cannon on those 2 airfields and war factory like I was planning to.
Those resources are under my protection, General.
Particle cannon
So
ready.
doing that does mean that my planes are going to have less resistance on their way there.
We will not forget this, General.
So bam, bam, bam. Less attacks from the MiGs, less attacks from our vehicles.
Upgrade
Done deal.
complete.
And we just got to wait on her to rebuild those airfields so then we can destroy them again and again and again. So as you can see, my defenses have been cut down quite a bit. I started with like, what, 6 or 7 Patriots up there. Now we're down to 3, but I do have a full garrison building with Rangers inside. So that's the other thing, is I'm just using those Ranger drops to garrison all of those buildings and then just reinforcing that defense there. And then that way I can last as long as possible in that section. Because if we lose this section, then we potentially lose the oil derrick, and we could also lose that power plant there. and it also just means that more attacks are going to come to the main base.
Army's elite. Secure and occupy.
China cannot be defeated by one man.
Unit lost. Particle cannon ready.
Yep, so we check in, make sure those airfields are
Particle cannon
fully rebuilt,
activated.
which they are, and then we do the same thing. And we're not destroying the dozers either, because it means that she'll be able to rebuild those airfields a little bit quicker, because there's going to be no travel time basically with those dozers. And our next particle cannon is coming in less than a minute. So if she can rebuild her airfields by the time the particle cannon's ready, that's very good for me, because then I can just use that right away, and then hopefully that will be the last time that we destroy the airfield.
Particle cannon ready.
Yep, so one airfield is definitely out of commission there. I did hesitate. I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a little bit longer just to make sure. But it was definitely out of the picture. I was hesitating when I shouldn't have.
Particle cannon activated.
And this time round, we do take out a dozer. And a Gatling cannon too, for good measure. And I thought, yeah, let's try and go for the supply center and the power if we can. Any damage is good damage, and her dozers are still going to be in that general area. See, that's one of the other things, is when you go in for that big move later against those command centers, you want to be able to have tabs on every dozer that she's got left in play. That way you can use whatever weapons you got to pick them off, and then go for a production later on when she can't rebuild anything. And yeah, I didn't have any other better targets with that A10, so I thought, okay, let's just take out the war factory one more time, and that'll decrease the amount of attacks that she does against me.
Sorry, I can't build it.
Yeah, pretty much at that point where both airfields are out of commission. Now, I could destroy the super weapons as well, but keep in mind she does have one more super weapon timer in play here, so I don't have to destroy them right away. Now, this I think was a mistake, because I mentioned earlier that you want to keep the dozers in play in one specific area, so I don't think I should have used the Spectre gunship on the garrison building. I think I should have held on to it and used it on something else. Now, with our particle cannons, I'm not going to use them yet. I'm going to try and save them up and use them for my big attack, where we go for the command centers. So with those particle cannons, you're going to need at least 6. So 6 meaning 2 particles on each command center, and then if you've got the general powers, you could aim those at her dozers. And yeah, like I said, if she's got the dozers in the right place, then you could like do Moabs and A10s on those dozers and then pick them off that way. But if you got more particle cannons to play with, if you got like 7 or 8 particle cannons, then that could be enough to pick off the last few dozers that she's got in play.
Laying the foundation. All finished. Bring on the scaffolding. Any more
Special forces
projects?
here. Need a point man?
Want to make some improvements? On the job.
Unit lost. Particle
Ready for
cannon
action.
ready. Upgrade complete.
Suicide is not.
So things are going pretty well here. We've got 6 particle cannons. Our general powers are basically ready to go. But I did make the realization, her general powers are going to
Enemy
kick in
black
around the
nodes
39-40 minute mark here. And I decided to take a bit of a calculated risk. So with our particle cannons, as you know, they've got a 4-minute timer. So if I use them now, and let's say my attack doesn't work, I'll still be able to use the particle cannons one more time before the general powers kick in. And that's what I decided on. And the super weapon timer is still in play if my attack fails, so I'm pretty much covered, you know, either way. So I decided to use my 6 particle cannons, 2 on each command center, and then I use my magnifying glass to reveal the map and see how many dozers she's got in play. I used the Moab on the dozers in the war factory, and now we're just scanning the map, seeing how many dozers are left. So here's where things get a little bit complicated. So she's got 1 dozer here. I used the Spectre gunship on the dozer. However, one, I didn't see the dozer that was off to the far left near that tunnel network. It's being camouflaged a little bit by the trees. But 2, the Moab that we used on the war factory only killed 1 of her dozers, not both. And so as a result, I'm going into this, like, right now I'm thinking there's 1 dozer left. There's 1 dozer left. I've got a 1 particle cannon here. Then I use my satellite scan, and I see, I didn't see that 3rd scaffold. I actually saw the one that's being built and the one off to the left. So I'm still thinking there's 2. So I used the particle cannon to kill off the dozer, and I can't see the other dozer, so I've gone in blind. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe I should use the A10 to reveal the map. That way I could have directed the particle cannon at the other dozer. But again, that 3rd dozer was off to the far right and rebuilding the command center. So ultimately the attack failed. And I used my A10 strike to pick off that last super weapon timer. Doesn't matter that it's a little bit early or not, because the battle's going to be over by the time I get my particle cannons ready. So yeah, looking back on my attack, I think I could have pulled it off if I had planned things out a little bit better. What I think I should have done instead was, I think I should have used the magnifying glass first to reveal the whole map, then looked for where the dozers are. Then I could have been able to plan out my general powers a little bit better. Maybe I should have done Spectre gunship on the dozers at the war factory, and then I could have Moabbed maybe the dozer that was off to the far left at the tunnel, and A10 the one that's wedged in between those power plants. Maybe that is what I should have done instead. If it did work, then it'd mean that the battle would probably be about a few minutes quicker than what it was, but even still, we're still in pretty good standing to beat General Leang. We've just got to wait on our particle cannons to be ready again, and this time round we won't have 6, we'll have like something like 8 or 9 particle cannons, which will be more than enough to pick off any remaining dozers on the map. So meanwhile, while we wait on the particle cannons to be ready again, we're just taking some extra precautions and building some extra power plants. Now, I highly doubt that my next attack would fail, but I wanted to make sure that I was ready with enough power plants in case she does launch the general powers on me. Now, she can use artillery strikes, carpet bombs, spectre gunship, and EMP pulses on you. Now, I want to make sure that I've got enough power so then I can stay online. That way the particle cannons can keep ticking down and the EMP Patriots can keep defending me for as long as possible. So yeah, if I was to get hit by those general powers, I'd be pretty much covered, but by the time the particle cannons are ready again, it wouldn't really matter. I'd be able to finish her off regardless.
Upgrade complete.
So I'm about to go in for my big move now.
Particle cannon
Now, we're at the
activated.
38-minute mark here, so I gotta be quick, because that means I'm gonna have 60 seconds to kill off these command centers. So I picked those guys off. Now, downside is I'm not gonna have access to the magnifying glass to reveal the whole map. So I'm just going to have to hope that I've got enough weaponry to take out all of her remaining dozers. So I went for the War Factory and those 2 dozers there. That's easy. And then we're just scanning what we can, hoping that there's no other dozers in play. We do have 1 particle cannon ready and another on the way, and she would have rebuilt by now. She would have done a scaffold. So I was feeling pretty confident that she had nothing left, and my previous attack on her command centers might have actually been a good thing, because she would have had like 3 or 4 dozers left in play. This time she only had 2. See? No scaffolds. And since there's no scaffolds, it means the coast is clear. And I've got 3 particle cannons to use here. So go for barracks, go for War Factory, take out all that production. In order to beat Leang, you don't have to destroy all her buildings, you just got to kill off her production buildings. And that also includes killing off her dozers too. Yeah, just taking a little bit of a victory lap, destroying other things. And see, I didn't need to destroy the super weapons in the end. As long as you take out the timers consistently, you won't get hit by those super weapons. And I'm waiting on my A10s to arrive, and I was trying to go for something a little bit flashy by using the particle cannon on that symbol there. Couldn't do that, but anyways, that is how I beat General Leang with General Alexander without building any units. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I do have a playlist if you want to check out any of my other challenges. I am Correctlo. I'll see you next time. Bye.
This has been an interesting contest. Perhaps you will challenge me again.